In ninth grade English, we were getting ready to begin Romeo and Juliet. Because all of the ninth graders saw the play on campus first trimester, I didn't want to focus on the plot of the story, but on other elements of the text. And in this play, there are many things that happen that still happen in students' lives today. And I wanted to focus on those to have the students begin to realize why we would read a piece of literature written in the 1600s still today. Some of the things that happen in that play are that people are living with secrets. The parents make the teenagers do things they don't want to do. People get bad advice from people that they trust. And people have instant connections with each other. So I designed this lesson to first introduce the main ideas and events in the play, but also, and more importantly, to help them practice making connections between their own lives and texts. I chose a variety of texts, some literary and some non-literary, so that the students could be exposed to both those types of texts, because that is a major component of the IB English program. We began with a spark with these two questions. Why do people read literature, and why do you read literature? Some answers were comprehensive, like Willa's. Some were thoughtful and then kind of funny, like Mayan's. Martina's was really poetic and powerful. And Milady's shows really tremendous written language development. And Adrian's made me laugh out loud. One of the key features of sheltered immersion is that students should, in one lesson, write, read, and speak in the language. So I designed the lesson to make sure that all students did all three of those things. I was lucky that day to have a visiting teacher in the classroom with me, so she and I modeled for the students the type of discussion that they were expected to have. We also modeled for them what to do if they had never had the experience, or if they didn't want to share their personal experience, to ease any anxiety that they might have about the activity. I then put them in pre-planned groups, and each group went to a different station that had a different topic that comes up in the play. First, they wrote independently about their own experience with that idea. Then they shared what they wrote orally with each other. And then they read together the supplementary text that was at their station. Then they discussed the text and made connections to their own stories. And the video that you're about to see shows my favorite moment of the class that I just got lucky to get on video. It shows a high-achieving native English language speaker analyzing a poem and an emerging English language learner connecting the poem to her own life. The station that they're at is a time when someone gave you bad advice, and this is an excerpt from the poem that was at that station.
Lady, how does this poem connect to your experience? Like, you know how you were talking about how, like, somebody was like, you don't need to study or whatever? How did, like, the poem's talking about, like, you know in your heart what you had to do, like, you know that you want to study and stuff, but that somebody else's influence, like,
everyone said, you know what you have to do because I
you don't know.
No, because when they told me that I didn't have to study, I started to listen. I knew what what I had to do, and I did do it.
When the students finished their stations, we only had 5 minutes left in class. So instead of being able to share out loud, I had them write their answers to these 2 questions in a reflection. And here are some of the responses. One thing that I did that I thought was effective this time was something different with the groups. Usually when I do station activities, I have the same groups of students rotate around to the stations. But this time I changed the groups between the stations. So while the students were at one station, I wrote new groups on the board. And then when they moved to the next station, then they regrouped with different classmates. And I thought this worked well because if the grouping was not successful, then it didn't ruin the whole class. It just ruined one group. And also students got to interact with more of their peers. One thing that I would try differently next time is the timing. I did this lesson the day before vacation and the students were tired, and they also only had time for 2 stations. So if I had waited for the beginning of the trimester, they could have gotten all stations in even if it took 2 days, and they would have the activity fresh in their minds when we started the book.